So we are starting to learn about the native controls. What do I mean by native? Native means they're native to the operating system. Anything that it renders as per its theme or style, all the controls are, they're not created by the user. They do not have style, color, text, etc. Font is not as per the user, but as per the operating system means native. So everything that we create here would be native. This is one example of window that is created using the Tinkle. It has all the controls that you can see. This is the track bars and progress bars and list box, buttons, text box is just general text box with capitalized letters, password, integer box, read-only box. We can just copy it, but we cannot modify anything. Image control, check boxes, radio buttons, and we have normal buttons and drop down text box, pretty much everything, multi-line text box, pretty much everything that we might require for creating a general Windows application. And this is the same as CSV. If you do remember, we loaded it in our Excel program, and now we're loading it in a Windows application, standalone Windows application. So this is a basic example. Now let's get to the actual programming stuff and create our own forms and controls. So you remember this program. This is the Tinkle main, and within which we just created one form. So we can resize it, create a new one, maybe 2 forms, 3 forms, 4 forms, 100 forms. You can create them. For creating like a button control, for example, you'll have to call button function, and within which you are going to pass. The best option is to keep the tinkle.h open so that you have reference. In Genie, it's going to now filter all the function calls and give us the exact. Now it expects any subcontrol that you create in Tinkle. You will have to actually pass the parent here. For that, better is define a parent here. For example, you say form, and my form, this is the type, and this is an identifier. You say form1 is equal to the form, and then while creating the button, let's bring it here. We say button should have the parent form1. And as we have seen the arguments, we can see in here, arguments, the character and the dimensions. So the character string, we say I am button. Okay. Now I say it should start from left, top, and the width and the height, for example. I say 50, for example. Fine enough. Let's compile and run this program and see if our button is created. Fine enough. Our button is created. No event has been bound to it. It's as simple as it seems. Then we create a button here, for example, if we need to bind different events with it. But before that, we'd be seeing further controls as well. And in upcoming talk, we will bind events to it. For example, you have to create a text box. You say, I create a text box, form1, and text here. And we must see the arguments as well. And it has 5 integers at the end. So text here, it will start because it starts from 100 and has height of 15. So we'll start it from 160. And in here, as a last argument, we need to tell the type of the text box that we are creating. We'll use text underscore, and we will have read-only, password, lowercase, etc. We'll say it's text simple text box we need to create. F9 and F5, and we have text box created here. So let's gradually create rest of the controls quickly. The memo actually is a text box. You can create a memo, and memo has all these properties exactly same as the text box, but it allows multi-line text to be entered. That is the difference. Then we have a label. Let's remove this one so that we have only one that we know of. If we do not have this argument in here, For the label is just nothing more than just a text box, a text label, a small window with the text. That's it. Nothing more than that. Then we have the checkbox after the label. Let's say checkbox. Let's check the arguments. It has exactly the same arguments and nothing special. We compile it, we run it, and we see we have a checkbox here. Fine enough. Then we have radio buttons. We will check their behavior and grouping later on. But for now, radio button has pretty much the same arguments, parent form. And then we have its display text, the label that it shows, and then the dimensions. Left, top, width, and height. Compile and run the program. And yes, we have the radio button, which is native to Microsoft Windows. And then we have a combo box. We'll call the function combo box. Either it's a function or a macro, you don't need to worry about it. Just memorize. And it has 3 arguments. It does not have the 4th argument because you cannot supply the height. Height is decided by the Windows itself. We'll just increase the width of it. We'll say to 100. And let's create this combo box. And we have the combo box text here. It says text here. Actually, this is going to be one entry, one option. So how do we create further options? I say, okay, select value. Then I put comma. I say 1, 2, 3, 4, FIVE. These are the values separated in the combo box. It does not have a title, usually. So what we do is we compile and run the program. We will see that all the entries have been populated here. How would we track them? We'll check later on. So it's as easy as it seems. And then we have the list box. Okay. And list box has the 4th argument because it usually has the height of 100, for example, we say. We are going to supply exactly the same arguments, values separated by the comma. And here you go, you have the list box created. Fine enough, which is kind of an open dropdown. Okay. And then we have the track bar. We are going to create a track. A track is kind of a slider. And it has 6 actually integer arguments. It does not have a caption. It does not have a caption here. In first 4 arguments are the dimensions. The first integer, after the form, there are 4 more arguments. So right after that, we have either it's horizontal or vertical. We have to tell. We'll say it is horizontal. And we should not have this huge height for a track bar. It should be maximum, I think, of 50 would be fine. And then you have to specify the range of the track bar. We say so from 0 to 100, or maybe 1 to 100. And we compile this program and run it. And we'll see that the track bar has been created. So it has, when the event is triggered, after we modify the value, it's going to send us 0 to 100, whatsoever the position is. Fine enough. If we do use, instead of horizontal, we use vertical, the dimensions would be needed to change, of course. The width should be 50 and the height should be 200, for example, and we started from 0, maybe 10 from the top. So we have this track bar, which is vertical. By changing just one argument, we are able to create horizontal and vertical track bars. Now let's create one more control, which is our gauge. And many people call it the progress bar. Gauge. And in here, you actually have to supply only 4 integers along with the style that you want. So practically, it is always from 0 to 100. So you cannot supply a range here for the gauge. It's always 0 to 100. And it does not send you any events back. It actually is used as a display control. You can modify it, send it a value, change its value. And what we say is, okay, we create it vertical and the same dimensions that we used for the track bar, and we will have it here. Fine enough. Now what we can do is we can change its value, but we'll look into it later on. And let's get to the table control. We have a table control. Table has pretty much the same arguments as any other type of the control. But in here, we will have to supply the column names first, and then the values at the end if we need to specify any values for the table. The last argument, if you do not to supply any data by default, then send a null here. Better use the default null from the C. And in here, actually, you have to add the column names. You say it is name, age, class. Don't put spaces here. Better not to put spaces. Class and grade, for example. So this is going to create a table. So these were the controls that you are looking for so far. And there is one more control which is really good to have. Is, for example, you're creating the application which is going to load images. Then you can use an image control directly. In here, you supply the file name, which would be either a BMP, GIF, or JPEG or PNG file, and the dimensions. So you say in the current folder, we have test.png, for example. Let's create one file here and load it in our folder. We're going to create a new bitmap file, and we're going to say this is test.bmp, and we're just going to edit in the paint, and we're going to change the dimensions to 100 and 100, 100, and we're just going to drop some garbage here, nothing special. Okay, we're going to save it as the BMP file. It is done. We're going to load in our program. We're going to say, okay, BMP file. And then the control itself should start from 100, and it should be of size 100 and 100. That's it. And we're going to compile the program. I think there is a problem. We have to supply the form first. Of course, form 1, the parent. And then we're going to run the program, and we have the image loaded. So these were the basic controls. If I feel a need for the extended controls or custom drawings, then I'll be adding to this chapter. But for now, I think these are the sufficient controls that you have learned so far. Now we are going to get into the event handling and stuff. As long as this lecture, if you have any question, let me know. I'll be answering that. Thank you very much.